What's up, everybody? Welcome to our next episode of Real Talk Real Estate with Trevor and Britt.
Hey, how you guys doing?
So,
Seller topics. Hey, guys, you know what we do every Wednesday? We talk about everything real estate. So, when we say real talk real estate, yes, we're talking about real estate, but we're also just giving you real talk, real tips about any and everything. But we're focused on real estate because we are real estate agents. So, yeah, here we go. Why shouldn't you wait until the spring to sell? I know people say, "Oh, that's the best time to put your house on the market," and history obviously shows that you should wait. But at the same token, there are reasons why you don't have to. If you're ready to sell, why wait?
yeah, so in real estate, we go through a lot of cycles every year. Spring market is pretty common to want to put your house on the market then because everybody is getting out of school fever and trying to move before the next school year. So basically, April to
August 1st?
August
Right.
1st, or even then to August is really like the big push in the real estate market on a yearly basis. But what happens if you have your house listed in August and it sits a little bit longer and whatnot? There's nothing wrong with that. And in all reality, if you have a great product, the house will sell. So if you're waiting to think that you might get a lot more offers, that's not necessarily always the case. When your house is ready to be sold, you should list the house because just because there's more competition doesn't always mean that you're going to get the highest return on your time for waiting.
And again, it's a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
So why not, ideally wait till the fall or the winter because there's less competition and your home stands out more. You don't have to worry about Billy down the street around the corner selling his house for, $20,000 less or $20,000 more or whatever the case may be and be in like heavy competition. So if you list in the fall and winter, you stand out more. And also there are a lot more serious buyers. You know that you're going to get more serious buyers looking to buy in the fall and winter because what happens in the summertime when you list your house and you hold it for open, you get 10 people that just want to look and see. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the fall and the winter, most people aren't coming out unless they're really serious about buying. So right. You have it's more likely to be sold, and then you're also more likely to have more profit when you list because there isn't a lot of competition. So it's just better all around in most cases. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still popular in the spring and the summer.
Yep.
But you don't have to wait. It's not necessary for you to wait, especially when you're a seller. You don't have to wait. It's more stuff going on.
And piggybacking off of that, and probably a more whole thought than I was 2 seconds ago, is if you list in the fall, more than likely you're going up against less inventory that's been stale inventory that's been on the market for 90 plus days or whatever. It's obvious those houses are probably staying on the market longer. So if you're going between a great product that you have and a stale inventory, you're still going to get great offers and it's going to sell quickly.
Yeah. So, for example, talk about like multiple offer situations that happen when you're in a low versus high inventory season, right? So we talked about last week how, presenting your offers and what tricks and tips to do when you're in a multiple offer situation. But there's a lot of difference when you're in a multiple offer situation when you're in more of a low or like off season, we call it off season market, right? So let's talk about a little bit of like what that looks like in comparison. So obviously anyway around, if you're in a multiple offer situation, people are going to be looking like, okay, what are the terms and all those things? But at the same token, when you're in a multiple offer situation, let's say in December, what does that look like? It looks like, people have shorter inspection times, shorter times that they need to get in. There's not a lot of people out there. So your mortgage bankers are less busy. So they're able to process things a lot faster too. Obviously as long as you have your documents in, but we got something special coming for you with the mortgage stuff coming in a couple of weeks here.
Yep.
But again, like there's so many different variables that make things move a lot faster when you're doing it in the fall and the winter.
At the end of the day, people are always moving. There's never just because it's December, people aren't moving. Yes, December is a slower month, but people are still buying houses. They're selling houses. So there should be no reason why you're trying to more or less time when you're selling your house. obviously we've already kind of hit it nail on the head, but obviously spring is a great time to list, but it's not the only time to
Right.
list.
Don't be confused. And then obviously when you get around the holidays, things are closed. Things are, again, you talk about shortened time periods when you talk about around Thanksgiving, around the New Year, around Christmas, shortened time periods because people want to get off. They want to be done. They're going to work even harder when you're listing or when you're doing stuff in the off season. So that's why you shouldn't wait to sell in the spring. You don't have to wait.
No, you don't have to wait. All right, what do we got next?
Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Let's talk about some of those red flags that we see or that buyers should watch for at showings or open houses. So if you're out on a showing with your agent or if you're at an open house just kind of browsing around, you're getting ready to buy, what are the red flags that stand out or that we should let you guys know what to look for while you're out there that, you just want to keep your eyes open for?
So for me, it's the smells and or more specifically, especially in Michigan, since we have so many basements, is going in the basement and smelling musty, moldy, wet, those types of smells. Sometimes smoke. Like I bought a smoker house, and I knew almost instantaneously. But you can rectify those situations for every house, but you just need to go in with the right mindset that there's a smell, and during an inspection period, we might find whatever that smell or issue is, but everything is rectifiable. It's just
most things.
Most things are rectifiable. You just have to have the right person to help guide you through getting those things rectified or compensation from like an inspection perspective or concession and whatnot. Right. What that's my number one. What's your number one?
So for me, some of you guys know I work with a lot of investors, right? A concern for me, and then I tell my clients too when they're investing, sometimes is when you have freshly painted basements. Sometimes they're either trying to hide an issue or they just got over an issue or there was water in the basement. And I know, especially with folks that are living in Michigan, those basements, if they're not waterproof or they're not, properly, the what's it called? The grading on the outside is not done properly. 9 times out of 10, you're getting water in the basement somewhere. So a lot of times that fresh paint could cause an issue. So you always want to make sure that when you're going through the inspection or if you decide to move forward, have your inspector make sure they do a water test. Make sure they're testing the floor, not the floors, but the walls for any signs of water or moisture, so you can know that. Also, like signs of like poor maintenance, right, guys? I mean, if your people are selling these houses and they've got busted light bulbs and stuff. Now, depending on the kind of house you're buying or what you're looking for, obviously. But if you're looking for your home to actually live in, you want to be aware of, chip paint or panels peeling off the walls or, light bulbs broken. Just the small maintenance stuff that like even to the point of like, oh, they don't clean the windows. If they don't clean the windows, they might not be cleaning a lot of other stuff. So just make sure you keep your eyes open, even for the small stuff. Now, don't be picky. Don't be picky.
No. And even more so, like when we talk about basements and what you're looking for, if it's not disclosed in the seller's disclosure statement, if you go in a basement and it's finished and you see like studs at the first 2 feet of the floor, that generally means that there's been a leak or a flood or pipe burst or something like that. And that's just a red flag that you need to be on guard with, that there's been more than likely water in this basement, and whether they've disclosed it or not a terrible thing. Most of the time you can remediate, but if you see in a basement the floor and 2 feet up is drywall up beyond the 2 feet and you see studs, that generally means that there was water in the basement. So you should definitely, it's I would say like a gray flag.
So buyers, when you're out there is this thing, what Trevor mentioned was the seller's disclosure. For those of you who don't know what that is, as a seller, you are supposed to be 100% truthful and writing down and disclosing all things that are in the house, anything that has went wrong, even if you got it fixed. If you had a leak in the roof, you're supposed to put it in there, what year, what you did to fix it. If you had water in the basement, what year, what you did to fix it. Disclose all of these things. So as a buyer, if you know that you love a house and you want to make sure, have your agent pull those seller disclosures before you tour the house. So that way, when you go, you already know what you're looking for. So when you meet with your agent, you get that paper, and I'm sure At that point, if you're educated and you're asking your agent for those seller's disclosures, they're going to review them. They're going to look at them. They're going to see if there's anything wrong with the house prior to you going in. So that when you're walking in on the tour, you already know, oh, they had water in the basement. So you're able to address those issues or ask your agent, like, hey, it said they had water in the basement. And I'm sure I know for sure myself, and I'm sure Trevor does the same thing. Like if we see stuff that's on the seller's disclosures, we're calling the agent, especially if we know this is a house. It really checks all the boxes for my client. If we know that and I see something on the seller's disclosure, I'm calling the agent and asking like, hey, just want to kind of get a little bit of information about the house. So make sure you ask your agents to pull those seller's disclosures for you guys, especially if you just like love this house that you're going to go with.
Since we're talking about red flags, and obviously throw the red flag, if I'm touring a house and I see like sloping, more so on a slab, if I see sloping floors, that is kind of a red flag. Not a deal breaker, but I've been through some doozies that it seems like we're going on a roller coaster type thing. So not a deal breaker as long as you do the inspection properly, but that could be a red flag that might be some type of structural issue. Other red flags for me are the conditions of the HVAC and air conditioning, because if it looks like it was done in the Jurassic times, it's probably needs to be replaced, and that is a cost that you as a buyer are going to end up needing to handle either before you buy or right after you buy or down the road. So those are just not 100% red flags, but they are a flag to be concerned about.
And even like outdated electrical panels too. I had a client that went in a house and there was an outdated, actually the electrical panel that they had in the house for years, it wasn't big enough for the house. So I was able to negotiate them putting in concessions to purchase the correct size electrical panel so that could be fixed out. So we got it quoted for the panel and the installation, got that added in as concession so that my client will walk away and get that done like the day after closing so that his house could be powered efficiently. So those are things too, like that's a red flag. You know, you want to make sure that stuff fixed. And again, you want to make sure that your agent is recommending a good inspector, because a good inspector will catch these things. So if you don't, your agent doesn't, your inspector will. That's why we have trusted inspectors that we partner with.
Fuse boxes are definitely something that you should update.
Yes.
I have a buddy that just bought a house and there's a fuse electrical panel. Good thing he's renovating the entire thing, but that would have been a red flag if it was an end consumer buyer.
Cooling water in the backyard. Took a client to see a house. It had rained the day before, and the water was just, it was ridiculous in the backyard. So I'm like, okay, somewhere either the gutters aren't working or something is happening. It was a nightmare. I was like, we obviously didn't end up going with the house, but and because of that, and then the seller and the seller's agent couldn't explain what was going on, so we decided to move past it. So again, looking at everything.
I don't know about you, but I think doing inspections the day it's raining and or the day after it rained is probably the best time to do an inspection. You can't control Mother Nature, and contingencies will dictate when you have to get it done. But like, I think it's super beneficial to do an inspection right after it rains, because water never loses, so it always finds a way.
Yeah, finds a way to show itself, for sure. If there's a hole, there's water somewhere.
Yep.
So, again, we talked about a lot of the red flags, so make sure that if you have any questions about any other red flags, or if you just recently toured the house and you have a question, give us a call. Don't forget, like, slide in our DMs, our phone numbers are there, our contact information, our emails, everything you need from the best realtors and builder in the city.
Metro Detroit.
Yep. Oh, yeah, the whole Metro Detroit. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got something for you guys that are investors out there. Again, you know, we always go over topics, seller, buyer, investor. Those are, you know, pretty staples for these conversations, because those are the types of people that are buying real estate, whether you're a buyer, you're a seller, or you're an investor. You fit in one of those three categories. This is the show to come on to just hear all the insider tricks and trades, and we don't get in trouble for it because we're not in the stock market, so we can do all the insider trading we want. So why your network is worth more than your down payment, investors? Tell us.
So, relationships. That's probably the simplest way to start this topic off. Is you talk to people and in just general conversation, you talk about likes, interests, what they invest in and whatnot. And when you have good, strong relationships with just general people, or you can strike up a conversation with people, you would be amazed with how many people have investment properties or are willing to fund
Yes.
to do a project or to sell a portfolio or sell a investment project off market, more than likely off market. So
let's touch on that.
Your networking is huge.
Let's touch on that because I get a lot of controversy in regards to off market and on market properties. Me personally, this is just my personal opinion. It doesn't matter if you buy it on the market or off the market. You can still get a deal. Just because people put them on the market doesn't mean they're price hiking. No, it does not. Now, I can say from personal experience that when it's an investor on the other side that is selling a house, sometimes they do price them a little higher because they know you're going to come down. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to come down and you're going to meet them at their bottom line. 9 times out of 10. So that I have seen. But like I said, I'm not going to say you don't get deals off market, but it's not a guarantee. I know an investor currently that buys all of his flips off the MLS for the most part, like 90% of them. And he does a phenomenal job at them. So with that being said, you don't necessarily have to just get the stuff off the market, but it's great to know an agent that can get you off markets. Here in our office, we share off markets all the time. So if you're looking for some off markets or you're in the market and you search the MLS top to bottom and you're looking for an investment or a sale or a buy, we have those. Reach out to us. We can let you know what's off the market that you probably don't know about. If you think you've seen everything on the market, reach out to us and we can help you find something if you don't already have an agent. So again, like you said, relationships are key. Strong contractor relationships, that equals faster, more cost-effective relationships. So, projects, I'm sorry. So when you have those relationships with all these contractors and you've been doing things and you know them, that means that, hey, it's going to cost, it may cost you a little bit less than, this brand new contractor that you just started talking to versus the one that you built the relationship that you've been talking with. So as an investor, meeting people, there's tons of things, there's tons of events and different things that are out there, like the MREI, which is Michigan Real Estate Investors Meeting, that you can go and network and meet with people to start building those relationships so that it can save you in the end. And then you also meet people that want to fund your deal. So let's say you want to invest and you may not necessarily have all of the money or any of the money. There are people out there that if you start building those relationships and going to those meetings and just talking to people in general, now depending on the space that you surround yourself in, that's a different story. But in those spaces where you're actually talking to investors or talking to people that invest and spend their money wisely by investing in real estate, those money people are out there. Even lenders, those relationships. So say you bought a house. You talk to your lender, hopefully your lender is keeping in touch with you. They can offer creative financing for you. So having those relationships with the lenders, they offer creative financing. And again, reaching out to your agent. And the agent should have, and I know me and Trevor both have good relationships with our lender partner. And we can give them a call. Hey, I got a client or I got, whatever the case may be that's looking to do some creative financing. What can you offer that can help them get their first investment property? Relationships. I don't care what industry you're in. Relationships are everything.
Did you know that contractors might be the best bird dogs when it comes to investing? Like landscapers, builders, any type of contractor, they're basically out in the trenches talking to the everyday consumer for whatever projects they have, and they see or have the first lead on a potential project or house that's going to go for sale. I know my father, who's a landscaper, always finds or would always find out before the other realtors. This was obviously way before I was a realtor, but of projects that were, or houses that were going to go for sale and whatnot. So contractors have such a good strong arm of that
of the know
yes, exactly. Sure. And also even more so contractors, more than likely, I know most of them don't look like it, but most of them have their own projects and sometimes need to offload them or sell them, and if you're right there, perfect for you.
Person, right? Yeah, exactly.
So conversations matter, networking matters, and another thing is property managers can help grow your overall net worth quickly. if you look at like the Bigger Pockets podcast or the books or whatever, like that's kind of where I got started when I get into real estate. But you really need to have all your ducks in a row, especially if you're like investing outside of your normal home base. You got to have a property manager, great realtors like us, contractors. You really need to have like your team in place when you're doing investing, and property managers can take the load off of you, so you're not dealing with the tenants in whatever type of investment project that your property that you're in, and they can manage the projects for you, and you can go worry about the other stuff, making more money and buying more deals.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought, like, before I got into real estate, really, I knew that I wanted to be an investor. Like, I knew one of the biggest ways to wealth was investing in real estate. So I knew that before I was going to become a full-time sales agent.
It is the way to generational wealth.
It is, 100%. So if you didn't know that, now you know. But what I also didn't know was the value in having a property management. So I always said, like, okay, I wanted to be an investor, right? But I didn't know jack nothing about a property manager. And I was like, how am I going to be an investor, have tenants in houses or have tenants in units and manage these people? And, a lot of tenants, you got to go through all the screening, you got to, do all their job search, you got to make sure the pay stubs are accurate, and you got to make sure, all these things have to be in place. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And so I kind of steered clear from purchasing, probably when I could have done more acquisition back, before I had kids and when I was just living free, because I was too nervous about managing a property when I had no idea that there was property management. Property management takes the load off, and then you're able to scale. And they take a bigger fee up front because they have to onboard and all those things. But then the headache that they take away for that fee that they get every month is way more than you not investing because you don't want to manage the properties. So if you need a link or you need somebody for a property management company, reach out, because we have some really great property management companies in our back pocket that do really, really, really well in managing properties. So if you already have properties and you need some help with that, let us know, because don't think you have to take on the burden by yourselves. The greatest investors in the world don't DIY.
It's called leverage.
Yeah.
You can only get so far with yourself, and if you just finally decide that you're ready to take the next step, leverage your time or finances or whatever into somebody else to help manage and do whatever you have going on, and you will just propel yourself even farther in your investing and or personal lives.
Yes. So leverage is key, guys. I mean, you got to know that. I think everybody does at this point, because most of the podcasts, the talk shows, the Instagrams, the Facebookers, and the TikTokers, leverage is key when you're in business. Once you get to that point, you got to leverage. Like, don't hold on to it, because it'll burn you out quicker than it would to just hand it over and pay somebody a small fee. Leverage. So investors, make sure you leverage. If you're investors and you're out there and you're listening and you need a referral for property management, let us know. Because Trevor, don't you property manage?
Yeah, I dabble.
See, look at that.
I dabble in a little bit of commercial right now.
So if you're in the commercial space, Trevor.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you can call us and we can refer you.
Residential is easier in my opinion, but
yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty much all we got for this week.
That's all we got. But we got some stuff coming. We're going to make some posts about it. Make sure you follow us at The Brick Full Tent and at
Trevor_Courier KW.
Yeah, that one.
Or vice versa, depending on what platform you're on.
Yes, 100%. And make sure you follow us. And then also follow our YouTube page. Trevor, Real Talk Real Estate with Trevor and Britt. Make sure you get on our YouTube page.
Just created the other day.
Yep.
So we're going to start uploading all of our previous episodes on there, so you can go back and resource our great tips.
Yes. And we got a mortgage banker coming, guys. He's coming at the end of the month.
End of the month.
So stay tuned.
Yep.
God Mortgage. He's going to talk everything mortgage and all the tips, tricks, trades, insider secrets. We got them.
Yep.
So
Yep.
stay tuned, guys. Thanks for joining us.
See you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.